Welcome to the Rise of Cryptocurrency show. Today I'm speaking with Crypto Lark, a great YouTube blogger on the cryptocurrencies. He recently interviewed Frank Holmes, chairman of High Blockchain Technologies, which is Wealth Research Group's #1 mining play in the crypto economy. And he's a great friend of ours. I recently was a guest on his show and thought it would be a good idea to speak with him on our show as well. He resides in New Zealand, which is one of my favorite countries. In fact, I'll be heading there this November and December, and it's a pleasure to have him on the Crypto Lark. Thanks for coming on the show. How are you today?
Very good, very good. Thank you for having me.
Lark, not even a month ago, the CFTC came out with a pivotal paper regarding ICOs. Can you share with us how you view this and what's your analysis on this?
Yeah, I'm actually very positive about the information that came out of that hearing today. Largely, I see it as a continuation of the status quo in the USA, which means that American investors are still excluded from participating in ICOs. They came out and said basically that we see all ICOs as securities at this point. We haven't seen any that we haven't classified as not being a security, and therefore, until the proper protections are in place for American Main Street consumers, we're going to maintain the status quo there. Now, that might be a negative for some American consumers, but they've already had to deal with that reality for quite some time. What I was very positive about, though, in this meeting was that they came out and they said, we have a do no harm policy towards distributed ledger technologies, which means they like blockchain, they're into blockchain. They look at cryptocurrencies as something that is an integral part of that blockchain technology. And they're not against that at all. They want to get out of the way and let it innovate, much in the same way that the internet was allowed to innovate.
Lark, what is your opinion? What, in your opinion, caused the bloodbath in January, which rattled investors, but now seems to be, on the back burner, like it never even happened?
I mean, there's so many different factors that come into play, but I mean, some of the biggest factors, really, we saw a lot of this start back with the FUD around Korea, when and the news always seems to run with the most explosive possible headlines to freak people out. South Korea to ban cryptocurrencies, but actually the reality is South Korea to require exchanges to know who their customers are. Not so serious sounding in the end, but people got jittered. And then India came out and said, we're banning cryptocurrencies. And of course, it wasn't actually the case. It was a situation of, well, we don't like to use the word currency. You can use crypto assets. And all these stories keep coming out, and they shake the market and shake the market and shake the market. Not to mention, of course, that January has historically been a rather downtrending month for cryptocurrencies. So a lot of factors came into play here, and I think a lot of the new people who came into the market, and this is a big factor as well. We had so many people coming in January. If you look at the registrations on Coinbase, for example, they were doing 100,000 registrations a day. Binance was doing 100,000 registrations a day. It was absolutely insane. All those people were getting involved. All those people were buying the top, didn't know what they were getting into, don't really understand Bitcoin. And now they're panic selling later on because they don't understand what's going on yet again. So I think we see a lot of that too. A lot of that sort of immature money sloshing around the market.
Lark, in January, we came out with our top 5 altcoins for 2018, as you know, at wealthresearchgroup.com/top1, top and the number 1, and wealthresearchgroup.com, top and the number 4. So top 4, concluding together our top 5 altcoins. One of them has already doubled. Another one is up 80%. Another one, a third one is up 50%. Let's talk about EOS, which is one of the 5. What makes you bullish about it? Off the air, you mentioned that it was one of your favorites that you're very passionate about.
Look, there's so many things that are very exciting about this project. And one, of course, is to actually look at who's developing it. I mean, there's a lot of money behind the development-wise. But of course, to know that Dan Larimer is at the head of this, he has built, of course, BitShares, which is the most robust blockchain, well, the fastest blockchain out there currently, beating all the others out. Now, it may not be the most popular blockchain, but a lot of people are using BitShares. He also developed Steem, and that is, of course, a very successful blockchain project as well. So he's already been behind some amazing projects. To see what they're developing over at EOS is very exciting too. looking at the massive amount of transactions per second. And of course, which is important moving forward. It's not super important now because blockchain technology is still in its early stages. But we will see as it moves forward that being incredibly important. So what the guys who are at EOS are trying to do is quite, I think, big picture kind of stuff. The one thing that's crazy, though, that it surprises me about the project, and I don't know if in the end this will turn out to be absolute genius or not, but the 1-year ICO, that's crazy.
Well, Steam was one of the original alerts we made on Wealth Research Group at 20 cents. It's now over 350. And so we've had a lot of subscribers who've made huge gains. I'm truly excited every time that we receive an email about massive profits made by subscribers. Let's talk about a recent call Wealth Research Group published. One of the other top altcoins is Nano. It used to be Rayblocks, and it just doubled from $7 to $15. We received many emails, but one that popped up in my mind from a subscribers is one that is a subscriber who took advantage of the volatility surrounding that coin, piled in big like a contrarian would, and made about $35,000 in a matter of days. Big profits. You recently interviewed their founder. What's going on with that project?
Well, Nano's interesting. It's, of course, the artist formerly known as Rayblocks. But Nano, they are creating, well, have created what's called the block lattice. So it's a little bit different from blockchain in the way that it works. But again, still distributed technology. Essentially, they wanted to create a feeless way to transfer value. And that's what they've done with Nano. Now, it was really interesting for a lot of different reasons. One, of course, is that they didn't actually have an ICO. They actually ended up having a faucet to distribute all of the Nano that's out there now. And so actually had a lot of people in countries like Venezuela or the Philippines, for example, who were sitting there filling out these CAPTCHAs all day and getting free Nano. And so there's actually a big distribution geographically in actually less affluent countries, which is very interesting because of the distribution model. Whereas we see, I think, with a lot of ICOs, most of the owners of those tokens are in the more wealthy countries. So that was an interesting thing about the project. But they are really aiming that transfer of value situation. Now, some of the concerns that I might have about Nano, I think it's a great project, but some of the concerns I might have about it are that they're not looking at, for example, smart contracts, and that's, even the guys over at Litecoin have been talking about that. So, that might be a hindrance for them in the future. Or, of course, who is their target market? One of the things they want to get adopted by retailers, which there's a lot of use cases out there for retailers to use a project like Nano. But can they actually attract those retailers when there's so many other potential solutions in the space? Stellar, for example, has super low fees and has a very robust blockchain as well. So there's a lot of competition. Or IOTA is a similar technology, but they're really focusing on getting partnerships to do that Internet of Things value proposition. So we see they've signed, IOTA, for example, has signed deals with Taipei to work on their smart cities model and things like that. So I would really like to see those kind of partnerships coming forward for Nano. I think that's what it needs to really give it that market edge and to give it the value that I think so many people believe it's going to have.
Do you view the cryptocurrency sector as essentially a tech industry?
In a large portion, it is essentially a tech sector, but I mean, as far as what's being developed, right? But it's moving more and more towards a situation where we get the front end use of it for consumers, and there's all these different dApps that are being developed on top of the core blockchains that are actually going to deliver a lot of goods to consumers. And of course, you have to really be so focused on the fact that cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology underlying them are really part of a financial revolution as well.
Lark, we've seen Bitcoin going from 20,000 down to 5,900, now back over 11,000, reaching 12,000. Trace Mayer, if you search his latest prediction on YouTube and write type in 115,000 Bitcoin Trace Mayer, you'll see very interesting commentary from him. What's your personal price target for Bitcoin?
As far as the price, I mean, look, it's hard to say what will go on moving forward. There's so many variables that can happen this year as far as government crackdown, regulation, adoption, how will Lightning Network actually work when it's implemented, et cetera, et cetera. But my estimate, personal opinion, is that by the end of the year, we'll see the $60,000 Bitcoin.
How did you reach this number?
A lot of it's really based on market sentiment. I mean, you can bring in different technical analysis, but it only really goes so far in the way that you approach it. But honestly, a lot of it I base on, just opinion based on market sentiment. That we are actually seeing more and more adoption of Bitcoin and blockchain technologies, and while the competition is coming up and is offering a good solution, I think when we do see a Lightning Network enabled Bitcoin, we're really going to see a huge growth on it. And now look, I suppose I can asterisk this with in the past, I'm usually too conservative in my estimates. So that's what I'm kind of basing on at the moment. So the numbers certainly do range wildly from 0 to $1 million by the end of the year. So
you're in New Zealand. What's the environment like there for cryptocurrency?
It's actually a pretty positive at the moment. I mean, the government's still moving back and forth on how to regulate it, and we have seen some rulings here recently about, for example, securities as far as should New Zealanders be allowed to participate in ICOs, and there have actually been a few ICOs recently that have excluded New Zealanders after that ruling was made. Most of them seem to, the ICOs that is, seem to not worry too much about it, but that will be something I think moving forward in the future that may become more applicable here. But I think it's a very vibrant community here. There's certainly a lot of people who are very interested in blockchain technology, who are interested in cryptocurrencies. So I think it's a good space for it. And we even have a few, of course, projects being developed here as well.
Where do you think cryptocurrencies will be a decade from now?
Ubiquitous. It'll be everywhere. I think in 10 years' time, when this distributed ledger technology really takes off, every business is going to be using this in some way or another. They're going to be accepting cryptocurrencies as payments. They're going to be doing their accounting on the blockchain. They're going to be doing their supply chain on the blockchain. They're going to be paying their wages to their employees on the blockchain. They're going to be doing their banking on the blockchain. It's going to be everywhere. And I think that getting involved now, especially in the platform level projects like EOS, Stellar, Ethereum, Icon, Quantum, and on down the list, will be very, very valuable in the long run because everything is going to be built on top of those projects. Please tell people about your channel and how they can follow you. Oh yeah, absolutely. So if anybody wants to follow along for the latest in cryptocurrency reviews and ICO reviews and what's going on with the news, come over and find me, The Crypto Lark, over on YouTube. Probably the best place to find me and follow along. Lark, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Make sure you check out the interview Lark did with Frank Holmes, chairman of Hive Blockchain, which received incredible feedback. And thanks for joining us today. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.